Hey gang, how you doing? Today we are taking a look at Transformers Energon Optimus Prime. Now this is the Supreme class figure, or Super class figure, or Ultra, whatever scale they were using back then. Now this figure is the one that comes with the 4 different sub-vehicles that you can use to form Super Optimus, which is just silly. So let's go ahead and take a look at the trailer first. As you can see, we've got a looks like a parallelogram we've got going on here for a trailer. The most unaerodynamic shape known to mankind for traveling on the highways. Yeah, if you're wondering, you're going along, all the wind is hitting this and then going down. That's going to create lift, and you're going to de-hitch. Okay, so now that we've taken a look at that, let's take a look at the figure. So, here we go. Prime is, well, this is a rather unique interpretation of a semi-tractor trailer, or a semi. For those of you in Europe, this would be called a lorry. It looks more like a really badly proportioned SUV. Very weird, and it's got satellite TV, apparently. So, transformation for this figure is disturbingly easy. Start off by just pulling out what will be the arms, sliding the hands out, fold up the head, push the rear of the vehicle up a little bit so you can fold down the legs and flip out the feet. Come on. And then fold up the rear. And there we go. Now, Energon Prime has been dubbed Optimus Prime by the fandom, and I really can't blame them for calling him that. I mean, this is just the most oddly proportioned Optimus Prime I've ever seen. It's just weird. I mean, it's even completely weirder than Armada Prime. But the bad proportions actually kind of make sense, especially when you have Super Prime combined with all his parts, which we'll talk about here in a second. Posability-wise, head does rotate, arm is on a ratchet joint, and then the inside arm is a swivel moving in and out, and an almost 90-degree bend at the elbow. Legs, ratchet at the ankle or at the hip, no knee articulation except for, well, what looks more like a part of the shin than a knee, and then no feet articulation. So, on its own, it's not a very good-looking figure. Now, I actually have a Japanese version of this figure that's much brighter paint, and there's more chrome where you see the gray paint. And he comes with a gun. This figure did not come with a gun. This figure does not have a gun, or at least mine didn't. So, detriment there. I kind of wish he had a gun. So, anyway, moving Prime off to the side, we will take a look at the trailer again. Now, in the show, the trailer kind of falls forward or moves forward like this, and then we'll deploy the components, and it moves by opening this bit right here. So then we can deploy the components. Chopper 1, or I'm sorry, Rescue 1, fire engine. Chopper 2. Chopper 2, bringing you traffic. Driller or Digger 3. Little driller. And Submarine 4. Submarine number 4. Just a very odd collection. Optimus Prime also has a sound gimmick for each one of the vehicles, and that is located right here behind him. You set this dial to the number vehicle you want, and then push the little button right up here. And the battery pack is located in his butt, or fanny pack, actually. So for vehicle number 1, For vehicle number 2. For vehicle number 3. And for vehicle number 4. And by their powers combined, and here we have Super Optimus Prime, or if you're a Superlink fan, Grand Convoy Supermoto! Now this is the primary version of the Super Mode, where the Fire and the Chopper become the arms, and Submarine and Digger, or Driller, become the legs. I do have some problems with this in the fact that there's not a lot of paint apps on those extra limbs. You could really use some more paint on there, and the proportions of Optimus work better when he's combined like this. Now there is another figure that Optimus can combine with that did appear later in the series that it looks a lot better with him combined with that guy than with these. As you saw, a combination was super simple, very, very Power Rangers-esque. I really do have a problem with the lack of paint here on the open windshield or windscreens. And the Japanese version has actual decals and stickers that go in there. The American version does not. And that's a real shame because that makes it look a lot better. Posability-wise, he retains just about all the posability and gains a little bit more. So you've got the ratcheting shoulders, and then you've got the near 90-degree bend on the arms. The fists don't really move. The legs still have the same knee articulation as they did before. You do get an extra helmet, though it looks like he's wearing a hat that's much too big for him. It doesn't look that bad, but it doesn't look good either. It just looks kind of silly. I think it would have been better if there was an actual new head in here that flipped down as opposed to just gaining a big hat. I also wanted to give you guys a look at what the other two look like as the limbs. So here we have Submarine number 4 with as the limb, and you have a little bit more posability in that you can twist the limb a little bit. And here's a Driller, or Digger, or whatever you want to call it. And he can spin freely, which is nice. It's not a bad figure by any stretch of the imagination, but I wish that the designers would have spent a little bit more time in figuring out how to get the limbs to best work with one another. And the reason I say that because when you have Driller and Copter as the feet, the figure is very unbalanced just due to the nature of the shape of the sets. The Driller is practically, you've got just a little bit of the Driller for the front of the foot and then these bits for the back. And then Copter, if they had just shaved away some of the plastic here, it would have been a better balanced figure. As it stands, you have to extend the figure's gait a little bit more. I don't hate this figure. It's not awful, but the lights and sound gimmick are kind of weak, and the overall combination doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look good either. It looks kind of like a Power Rangers ripoff. Now, that being said, Optimus's combination with the character known as Wing Saber later in the series looks worlds better, and we'll get to that in a later review. But if you could find this guy for really cheap, it's not bad picking him up. But if you really have to have a version of Optimus, I would spring to see if you can find the deluxe class version. But if you've got to find this guy, he's about 50 to 60 bucks on eBay right now, so I would recommend finding other figures, especially the much better Cybertron Optimus Prime. I would spring for that one before this guy in a heartbeat. Like I said, this guy's not too bad, but it just isn't quite there.